As a YouTuber, I get asked for help a lot of time. I just said as a YouTuber. Hi everyone, welcome to Pal to Tech. As I said, as a YouTuber, I get asked all the time for help from viewers who occasionally run into problems using their Fujifilm cameras. However, some of them are not necessarily problems. They're more like quirks or misunderstandings of how the camera actually works. So here are 5 issues I hear about all the time. Number 1. Out of the blue, all of a sudden, the camera suddenly takes a lot longer to write to the SD card. Here's the SD card I'm using. It is quite fast and works very well. And I want you to watch how fast it saves to the SD card. And another one. Okay, however, if I go into my menu, I go into the IQ section, I turn up my clarity to say +3 and my sharpness to say +2. Now watch how fast. Here we go. You see that? Much slower. So now you know what's causing it, and it has to do with some of those IQ image quality settings being toggled up or down, and that will affect the speed at which the camera saves the image to the SD card. Number 2, the shutter button does not autofocus. Let's say you have the camera set to S. Normally, when you point the camera at something and half press the shutter, the camera will autofocus like this. See that? If you are using the touchscreen, so let's say you have touchscreen setting on and it's set to AF for autofocus. We're going to touch an area on the screen to autofocus. So now I haven't touched any other buttons on the screen. All I've done is I've tapped the back of the screen to autofocus, and you can see the green square right there, and you can see that AF is now lit up as green. Now let's just say I aim my camera up over here and I want to focus on that. But because I've moved my camera up, since I have my finger here, I want to half press the shutter to autofocus. Well, if the touchscreen indicator is now green, because I had enabled it earlier when I touchscreened it and autofocused here, if I go and half press the shutter, look, nothing's happening. And in fact, the custom menu buttons will not work either. And the only way to get out of it is either to take the shot or to tap the back right here and turn it off. Number 3, suddenly the dials don't work in movie mode. You cannot change ISO, you cannot change shutter speed, and so forth. So if you're in movie mode on the X-T4, or if you have it set to movie mode on the X-T3, and you have touchscreen set to on, and you also have movie optimized control set to on. On the X-T3, it says movie silent control, but it's the same thing. However, here's the issue. Because you can now use the touchscreen to set various functions of the camera. So for example, let's say I set my ISO to 5,000. My ISO is now set to 5,000. Now I'm out and I'm shooting and all's well. And suddenly I get into a scene where I actually can lower the ISO. I see these beautiful dials on the top of the camera and I go, okay, let me turn it down. Up. Nothing's happening. That's because when you're in movie optimized control on the X-T4 or movie silent control on the X-T3, that will disable all the top dials. And the only way to get back control, so to speak, is to do one of 2 things. Either go into your movie optimized control down to the very bottom of the thing until you see off, or you could go back into your movie settings and turn off movie optimized control. But here's where it gets worse, and I mean worse. Let's say that you have movie optimized control on, however, you also have touchscreen set to off. In that case, look at this. That icon that you're supposed to touch is not there. However, I'm turning the dials, not working. I'm turning this dial, not working. Nothing's working. So the fix for this is to obviously turn off movie optimized control. Number 4 is the dreaded camera freezing. Suddenly, out of the blue, the screen freezes. Say it freezes on an image or it freezes right in the middle of shooting. The only way to fix that is to literally do this. Take the battery out, boom, back in. I've tried everything to try and fix that problem, and sometimes I just can't. However, there are 2 things that I did that sort of helped reduce how often that happened. The first is that if you happen to have a battery grip connected to the camera, there's a couple of things you might want to check. Sometimes it can be on there too tight. And this wheel, if you go and you crank it really tight, that can actually make things worse. I've seen situations where when this is cranked really tight, the camera doesn't recognize the battery grip and you only see one battery indicator in the view screen. And so by loosening it just a hair, just a little bit, not too much. I mean, you obviously don't want the thing falling off, but just a little bit loose. So it's not, you know, like a gorilla has done it, right? Just a little bit. The other thing that you can do, which has helped me tremendously, is to get a Q-tip, like a cotton Q-tip, cotton swab, clean it. Get whatever gunk is in there, just gently kind of do this. Do not do this to these pins, you'll break them. You can even grab a can of dust spray, you know. And lastly, for an unresponsive camera, if you're noticing that that's happening a lot of the time, try a different SD card, because sometimes saving to the SD card can cause some kind of camera freeze. Number 5 is auto ISO, refusing to use the lowest default ISO value that you have on the camera, even when lighting conditions are okay to use it. When you set your top dial to A for auto ISO, and then you go into your ISO auto setting area of the menu in the camera, the one that we're concerned with here is default sensitivity to 160. What that means is that if there's enough light and all things being equal, the camera will default to using that ISO value, the lowest one, the one you want, right? Okay, ISO is 160, okay? Here's the issue. Let's say you have your dynamic range setting in your camera set to DR200 or DR400. But even though there's plenty of light, if I take the shot, look at this, ISO 640. And that's what it defaults to, 640 ISO and not 160. The same thing happens if you have DR off and D-range priority set to, say, weak. Now watch. Even though there's plenty of light here, look at that. So what's happening here is very simple. Your dynamic range setting or your D-range priority setting is overriding your auto ISO setting, okay? Remember, dynamic range has minimum ISO values for 200 and 400%, and D-range priority has minimum ISO values as well. Same with auto. If you have it set to auto, you're gonna see the same issue. So if you wanna absolutely guarantee that auto ISO will use the default value that you set, that lowest value, if the lighting conditions are right, what you need to do is make sure that D-range priority is off and that dynamic range is set to 100% or off. Does that make sense? It's just a matter of one setting on the camera stepping in charge and overriding the other one. Anyhow, there's lots more problems and issues with Fujifilm and any brand of camera. However, these were the 5 that I received the most questions on, and 5 that I could somehow point you, hopefully, in the right direction of learning how to solve them. Well, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. Be sure to shoot some great photos this weekend. And I am signing off now, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Have enough light. What should happen? Auto ISO. I had one job to do today.